So there are 5 lessons that I learned from Chanukah this week. Today, the second day of Chanukah, I have 3 candles there just for illustration purposes, and I'm about to light them to show one of the lessons that I learned. So there are 5 lessons that I learned by watching the candle and really paying attention to the history behind the miracles of Chanukah. And I should really put this down because I have a tendency to move my hand, and yeah, that's not a good thing. Anyway, so here are the 5 lessons. Lesson number 1, crash course on Chanukah. Short crash course on the history of Chanukah. In about 160 BCE, the Greeks were controlling Jerusalem. And in their control of Jerusalem, they were governing over the Jewish people at the time. And they persecuted the Jews' religious freedom. They said they were not allowed to keep the Sabbath, they weren't allowed to study the Torah, they weren't allowed to do circumcision, any laws that was in connection to Judaism, the Greeks said, no, you cannot do. They didn't care about our physical being, they wanted to attack our spiritual being. Until a certain point when a man by the name of Matisyahu decided to say enough is enough, and he stood up, gathered his sons, and gathered an army of people, a very small army of people called the Maccabees, and they decided to wage war against the Greeks. And the miracles happened, and the small army defeated the humongous Greek army, and they reconquered Jerusalem, including the temple at the time. So Matisyahu and his sons, the Maccabees, entered the temple, and they wanted to do something to serve God in some way. And one of the ways they found that they were able to serve God that day is to light one of the menorah, light candles as a service for God. And they were looking around for oil, and they found 1 bucket of oil that would last just for that day. And it would take them another 8 days until a new shipment of oil arrived. And yet they decided to take all the oil and they lit it up to serve God. So 2 things here. 1, this was probably the first war against religion. And this was the first war for religious freedom. In America, I'm so grateful to be allowed to practice my religious openly and express myself, and I know whatever you believe in, you're allowed to do the same. So they came and they saw the oil, and they decided to serve God through the oil, through a service. And the oil only lasted for that day. And yet, a miracle happened and oil lasted all 8 days until the new shipment came. So here's the first lesson I learned about that, to serve wholeheartedly. I was talking to someone last night, and I was telling them that courage is the ability to share your story wholeheartedly. Don't give a half an act. They only had enough oil for 1 day. They could have split it up a little bit at a time for the next 8 days, but they decided to give it their all at that moment. When me sharing my story with the 90-day challenge, I hope to serve you wholeheartedly. It's to share my ups and downs, mostly ups hopefully, and share my victories and failures, and really just be able to serve you somehow. And even with my 90-day challenge, each day to give wholeheartedly, not to so much think about the next day. Just today I could do it. At this moment I could serve myself, serve the people, and I could really give myself wholeheartedly. So that's first lesson that I learned, and it's so important to health, because people are like, oh, what am I going to eat tomorrow? Don't worry about tomorrow. Worry about today. Serve yourself wholeheartedly. Do something wholeheartedly. Don't give a half an act. There's just enough oil for 1 day, give it all. So that's the first lesson. The second lesson is that we count up the days. And this is something in Judaism that I've seen specifically, and we always count up to the days. Instead of saying how many days are left, we say tonight will be the 3rd candle, the 3rd night. We Today is the 5th night, 6th night, 7th night, 8th night. Instead of saying how many days are left, we count up. And that's something so special about the Body by Body. Instead of saying I have so-and-so amount of days left to my challenge, I count up to the challenge. Today's my 19th day of the Body by Body 90-day challenge. And that's a great thing to count up. Because even once the 90 days are over, you still go. A health journey, it's lifelong. So that's the second lesson I learned. But here's the third lesson. Even though we count up, and instead of starting with the oldest candle, which is this one, the first night candle, we start with the newest edition. We start with the newest edition, and we go backward. And we light all the way back to the first day. And I thought that was something very interesting. Because even though today is a new day, even though you're doing something new, you have to remember that it builds back on what you did on day one. So today is my 19th day of Body by Body. Could be your whatever day, could be whatever day, whatever you're doing. But you're building up. From the moment that you made a decision to say, today I'm doing it. Today I'm taking action. Today I'm going to eat healthy. Whatever it is, it's always building on that first day. And that's a beautiful lesson. To be able to know you start with a new day, but you're always building backward. You're always building based on what you did on the first day. And that's a beautiful lesson. That's the third lesson. Here's the fourth lesson. You see this candle? You'll notice that this candle is a little bit higher than the rest. And this is not officially part of the 8 candles of the 8th night of Chanukah. This is what we call the shamash. And the translation of the word shamash is a server. Someone who serves others. And it's so interesting. This candle is the candle that we light the others with. And it's called the shamash. It serves others. And because it serves others, it gets to be a little bit higher. It gets to be a little bit more distinct, more individual. A person who serves others deserves that respect. And I hope through my own challenge and our lifelong challenge together, I'm able to share that story and somehow, some way share and serve you some way. You know, I do these videos, I share my updates, and I wonder if somebody gets something from it. And my prayer and hope is that someone does. If it's just one person that says, okay, I can make a difference in whatever way, my health or my financial, I'm honored to be able to be part of that. So that's the fourth lesson. And here's the fifth lesson. The word Chanukah itself has 3 meanings to it. Dedication, education, and beginning. Dedication. You have to dedicate yourself to what you want to do. So the Maccabees at the time dedicated a temple. They rededicated the temple. They took it over and they rededicated it to God. Education, you have to learn the laws. You have to study what you have to study. And when you have the dedication and you have the education, when you're dedicated and educated, even in dark times, you could always have a new beginning. That's a powerful lesson. You know? Think about it. Like in my weight loss, is when I dedicated myself for the 90-day challenge. And I started educating myself. What am I going to do to lose the weight, to get healthy again? And when I educated myself, I started a new beginning. I had a new chapter in life. So even though it's dark now, whatever it is in life, you know, you could be eating for whatever reason. You're overweight, you're underweight, whatever it is. If you dedicate yourself and you educate yourself on a topic, you can have a new beginning at any time. So that's the 5 lessons that I learned from Chanukah so far. And here's another piece of news. I'm going to put this a little bit to the side so it doesn't burn me. Here's another piece of news. You know, how cool is that? I'm able to shut it off my finger. Okay, I know anyone can. But here's another piece of news. The result for my challenge. Today is day 19 of the 90-day challenge. And Today's day 19 of the 90-day challenge, and I weigh myself. Today's Thursday, when I usually weigh myself. And guess what? Ta-da! I am now 299 pounds. That's a 6 pounds weight loss this week for a total of 16 pounds. I didn't lose anything on the waist, but 16 pounds in total in 19 days. So I'm now 299 pounds, which is awesome. You know, I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to lose that. I wasn't sure if I would be able to get to under 300 this week, but I did it. And next week I'm going to pick up the game again. I'm going to step it up. And I'm going to step it up with you. And yeah, you know, just celebrate. Every day is a new day. Every day is a beginning. Worry about today. Serve wholeheartedly. Know that you're building. It takes time, but you're building. You know, 16 pounds in total in 3 weeks almost. The next time I'm going to weigh myself is actually going to be in 11 days, day 30. I want to give that big stretch. And I'm going to hope for a big number. And I'm going to share that with you. So that's it. Dedicate yourself, educate yourself, and even in dark times, you'll always have a new beginning.